Hey, it's live. All right. It's like the afternoon sun. It's coming right through the attic window. My office is in the attic, and I have an apex like roof right above my head, and I think
Oh
it
yeah.
gives it weird audio. So that's kind of one thing I've been messing with. But I'll figure it out later. But yeah, I wonder if I can even show if I can. It won't like hurt your eyes to look at the whiteness. But yeah, it's so bright. So it actually like makes my screen kind of like bright too. It's like hard to see. So I'll get something to block it, but I kind of like not blocking it. I'm like, bring on the sun. This is the time of day. We must live with it.
Right.
Yeah. But so Timothy Olson, I've seen you around posting about Melvin, and it
Yes.
definitely, how's it, first off, how's it going? Good to meet you. My name's
Oh
Nolan.
yeah, good to meet you too. Oh, it's going fine. I'm trying something different this time around with working with RJ and getting it into like on Walmart websites and uh, Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And I think I turned in the. I think I uploaded the last page to Melvin 2 Special Edition to RJ just today. I got it actually. Yeah, Rob sent it to me, and I downloaded it and sent it to a shared folder with you know who RJ is, Critical Blast.
Yeah, Critical
Yeah,
Blast. Yeah.
so he's the one that got my book Melvin 1 Special Edition on those websites. And
Cool.
soon Melvin 2 will be on there. I'm gonna wait on Melvin 3 and 0 because I still got packages to get out to backers. But then I want to have it like put up just like Melvin 1 and 2. But
Yeah,
that's after I get all the backers their books.
that's cool. Yeah, and I guess that is the thing that's come out as the way to do it. Because a few people have done it the other way, and you can see people get mad, which kind of
Oh,
makes sense,
people
I
hate
guess.
that.
Yeah.
That was that
Yeah.
Red Blister comic,
Yeah, that was the main one that did that. Yeah.
and I think it's okay because I mean Melvin 1 and 2 have been through quite a few campaigns already.
Oh,
So
totally.
yeah,
Yeah. So I saw Melvin here and there, yeah, a while back and thought it looked cool. And Melvin is a cool name for a comic too. It's
it's
kind of
actually people are wondering about that because it's such a badass name. His name is Melvin. I'm like, well, it actually has a reference to Mad Magazine, the first issue.
okay.
It's a name that's on the cover. It's like I think you've seen the cover. It's like two parents cringing in the corner, and they're like, "It's ugly, it's hideous," and this little tiny kid's picking his nose, going, "It's Melvin." And I remember, and in the '90s they had a card set of every single cover of Mad Magazine, and I just collected them, and that just kind of stuck with me. Like, so in middle school, I came up with a character named Melvin, and not having many people to work with, it kind of didn't go anywhere. And then like you hear about your boy Zach putting out a book, and he what he did, and so I just dug him up and kind of rethought him out.
And
And
oh, so
also somebody also told me that I'd never make it in comics, and that kind of got me fired up. And so
yeah, those freaking jerks back. It's a lot of that era seems to be fading. Knock on wood, but I was reminiscing. I was like, yeah, because part of me was like, was I crazy or was it? And it was crazy. Like it wasn't me. Like the pros were like bullying the fans kind of for like multiple
this
years.
was actually somebody who I was kind of in competition with on Facebook, and I ended up going back and looking at his old campaign, and I realized I outsold him by $30.
Oh, nice, cool.
So when you get fired up, it makes you accomplish anything.
Yeah, yeah. So Melvin, so it's been since like early CG days almost that Melvin's been around when you're getting the ball rolling. It's like, has it been like 5 years or whatever?
It's been
Uh,
3. I kind of showed up in 2018. I
okay,
believe
yeah,
it's 2018.
well, 2018 is like 6 years ago or five. That's like 5 years ago. But
Is it 5 years ago? Has it? Time kind of just like kind of blurs together, and all of a sudden it's been several years ago, and then you're like, you get
yeah, well, you know what that was too? It was COVID was messing with people because time that like it was like time travel almost like 2 years passed, but we are all like, wait, what happened? Like,
I only felt like it was one. It's like, have I been at this 3 or 4? I don't remember.
yeah, cool. So it's yeah. So I was checking the stats, and it's 38 pages. So is this like? Would you call it like a floppy that you're ordering, or is this more? Is it perfect bound? Like
Well, I
just
mean, the
pretty
original
thin?
one was a floppy. It's just that's the pages they required in theirs, and so they're like, do you want to put ads in it, or you know? And I was like, yeah, I would put ads in it, but the original one was like 24 pages, I think.
Okay, cool. And so wait, is it so it is like it's not staple bound? That this one that you can buy, this is it says paperback.
Yeah,
Like so is it like perfect bound, I guess, or
something like that. We discussed so many options of what they're going about, and I'm pretty easygoing that sometimes I forget details.
yeah. And so I'm just it's fine. Sorry if I'm overloading you with questions because I'm just
That's all
curious.
good.
The whole thing. So yeah, critical blast, that's cool. And
Yeah.
it says the dimensions, that's what it's listing here is slightly less than American comic size. So is that or is that more just guesstimates like it's about American comic size or
I guess
what?
so. I mean, if I had a copy of, I got rid of all the extra copies of old Melvin one.
Yeah.
There was a reason why I wanted. We actually were going to put them out as they were, and then like something happened to where we had to kind of replace pages.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but like the credit page in Melvin one had to be replaced. The original cover for Melvin one is no longer going to be ever printed ever. So we went with the Dillard cover.
And is this the Dillard cover?
That's the Dillard cover.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's there's a
Oh,
lot of cool things. The cool, really cool logo, title,
yep.
and the guy and good art. Was it like you don't have to go into it, but it was like drama related or personnel related kind of thing?
It was the weirdest thing. So I didn't hear about it, and then I wake up Monday morning, and me and RJ had been talking about this deal for a while, and I wake up in the morning, and get ready to go to work, and I check my messages before I leave, and then, like somebody's like, yo, dude, you got to check out this video, and I'm watching it. I'm like, no freaking way. Oh shit. So I had to contact RJ and say we need to replace some things ASAP. And so I decided to go with the Dillard cover. The credit page was changed for obvious reasons. The biggest change was Melvin #2. We're going to do a special edition. We had to replace the cover.
Wait, I missed. You said it was a video that you saw that made you have to do that, but that was
Yeah.
mysterious.
No, it
Was it?
was actually Dean and Vicky Investigate. Everybody's pretty much seen it.
Oh, I still don't. Well, I maybe can guess. I'm not sure, but I think I might know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Melvin 2 was the biggest change. We had to change the cover had to be redone. At least I want to say 12 or so pages had to be redone, I think.
Yeah.
So I had Rob redo all the pages that
Is that Rod Looper?
Rob Ewing.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, Rob Ewing's not in Melvin 1.
Oh, okay. Cool.
The artist for the interior pages is Sherwin K.O. Sains.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I've mentioned this before when I have people on, but it's like, so we were both in kind of the Comicsgate sphere together for like 5 years. We were both there, but I'm only meeting you now. In some ways,
it's a big place.
I know that's like kind of what's cool about it. It is so big. Then there's just channels and facets everywhere. And it is fun to network and meet people. And I had seen this book floater on here and there, but it never had totally really got in my face where I
I went to the Comic-Con up here in Idaho because I originally was in Texas when I started doing this stuff, but I'm in Idaho now, and I went to the Jim State Comic-Con, and I had copies of Melvin 1 that I took with me, and I was handing them out, and I got a lot of they tell me I've seen the book, but I've never actually read it, so people have seen it. Yeah,
that's like what I remember seeing. Like Do you have any interior art, or is there? Can I click on it? Will that? I wonder. It's a sweet cover, but is there interior art to share, or even on your
I
end,
could
maybe? Or
let's see if I can. Let's see if I got anything.
while you're doing that, I remember, speaking of Melvin, one of my best friend's wife's father, who's a cool guy. Everyone
Yeah.
calls him Mel, so Mel is his name. But my buddy, who's his son-in-law, is the only one, but he calls him Melvin, and it's like it is funny. I always chuckle when I hear it. I'm like, ah, Melvin, but it goes well with like a barbarian, and it goes well with that font.
Well, I'm actually influenced. I was actually kind of influenced by the John Carter of Mars movie that came out many years ago.
Yeah, cool. That was a good movie, and it kind of went under the radar a little bit.
Oh yeah, I know, and that's actually it. Actually caused me to buy the book.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. Yeah, so Melvin, it's been around for a while. So it's kind of doing its second. This is one thing I wanted to kind of ask you about is you're doing the sort of like second publishing run because you did the first crowdfunding run.
Well,
And
I've
then
done. I think Melvin 1 was offered in its own campaign, and then it was offered again in the Melvin 2 campaign, and then it was offered again in the Melvin 3 campaign.
okay, yeah. So it's been out there a lot. And then
Yeah.
now is like a new move, a new strat. It's like a little bit more the mainstream strat. You have it in Barnes and Noble, Walmart, and
Yeah, available on the sites.
RJ
Yeah.
was the one who hooked it up with that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I thought
cool.
it was a time to make a kind of a change. I wanted a little more reach, and because I mean, as much as crowdfunding is great, it's a good way to get started. I kind of felt like the reach was for most of us is very limited.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
good
agree.
on those who do it and are successful though.
Yeah. And I'm always curious just about, yeah, like what other just even strategies, possibilities that is even exist out there. So that was what definitely caught my eye. I was like, what, your book is in Barnes and Noble and Walmart? Like that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sharing a screen here if you wouldn't mind. You want to see the artwork? Well, sometimes things get lost, so the only thing I could find was the colored edition. So Melvin 1 special edition will be pretty much the colored edition.
Cool. Yeah, it's got like the retro color style a little bit. That it looks really good.
Yeah.
The kind of flats, And we haven't talked about the story, but it's barbarian, obviously. And even like you mentioned Mad Magazine. So is the tone like a little bit like satire or whatever, or is it?
No, but it's the name comes from that.
Okay. So it's like straight up barbarian badass action kind of thing.
It's sci-fi fantasy.
Okay, so a little bit more sci-fi in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks cool. You know what it looks like a little bit when you say sci-fi, this type of sci-fi fantasy where it's like barbarian sci-fi, I guess.
Yeah.
You can almost put it that way. That's actually kind of rare. Like it's like a really good idea in hindsight. You're like, oh, this is one of the only books out there that's like this, even in crowdfunding. And crowdfunding has a bunch of everything.
Yeah, but when I got done with the first issue, I go, okay, if I do a second issue, it has to be 10 times better than this. So each issue will always get better than the next one.
Cool.
Yeah.
And is it a continuing story or is it kind of episodic?
It's continuing.
Cool. And how many will it be eventually?
As many as I like.
Okay. But it's like it kind of like forever almost kind of thing.
Yeah.
What about the current arc that it's on? Is that like a few issues away from ending, or is it?
Well, issue 4 is going to be the last. It's going to be a double sized because I'm cramming 2 stories. That originally was going to be 5 issues, and I thought, something happened where I thought, oh shit, I ended in issue 4, so I made it 2 stories in 1 issue.
Cool. Yeah, the art looks great. It looks like a lot of fun. Are you seeing like some of the reach extended? Is it working? Getting some sales coming in from?
As far as I understand, there's been a few most sales in America, but there's been at least 2 in Germany. And then I got one of my buddies is Filipino. He's from the Philippines, so I'm trying to get my book into the Philippines as well.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. What about, is it kind of mostly on the websites, or in some stores is it brick and mortar too, like Barnes
I
and
think
Noble?
you have to order it on the websites. It's also on Ingram, which is for, like, I guess, a catalog for comic book shops.
Oh, okay, nice. That's like an alternative to what, Diamond Distribution kind of thing?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, with that, I wonder. Actually, this is a random story, but I read the Steve Jobs book way back in the day, and they were talking about how he got the rights to all the Beatles for iTunes, and that's why nobody had done it, because everyone had said that's impossible. You can't do that. Like, it's like that literally impossible to get all the rights. And he had, I don't, he might have got some of it from the Michael Jackson estate, but it was like a process where he's like, well, I'm just going to do it. So he spent a year, and he was like meeting with anyone who owned the rights. So he had meetings for a year straight, telling him his plan. And he eventually did get it all conglomerated into one like ownership kind of thing. And then he could launch iTunes. But I'm like, that's almost like that for comic shops. I feel like if you could be like, I'm going to call every single comic shop in the country and tell them about my book or something like that. And
Well, I've emailed quite a few shops with a low res PDF file and
nice.
links. So just got to keep, law of averages. Eventually, a bunch of them will say yes. I just got to keep at it. So
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So it's 3 is crowdfunding soon, or it is now even, or will be?
Oh no, three is the event that happened kind of threw me off that. So I had to, like I said, I was redoing the 2 books that were going to go out on websites. We had to redo that, and then I kind of had to deal with that. And now that I'm kind of getting things squared around, I'm going to get back starting this week on sending out packages.
Oh, okay. And then 3, that'll be 3 getting fulfilled.
Yeah, and
then,
honestly, I didn't want people to have books with that guy's artwork on that. So
yeah, I bet most people don't mind. I do know what you're talking about now. I kind of luckily almost missed almost all of that, but then I caught some of it just through osmosis recently.
a lot of us knew this guy. We thought we knew this guy, and just, I mean, it kind of threw a lot of it. Some people got it worse.
Yeah.
Dark Gift has to do a whole more than I was looking. I only had to redo 2 books. Dark Gift has to redo a whole bunch.
Oh yeah, geez.
Yeah. So
yeah. And then people using it as gotchas against Dark Gift.
Yeah, like we're supposed to like, and who the hell would back? He wasn't even using his real name, so how would that work?
Yeah, that makes sense. By the way, Genuine Comics is here. How's it going, Dave Brink? Everybody, Dave's campaign is live on Fun My Comic as well. I think it's a special hardcover of Perfect 10. And yeah, me and Dave will stream one of these days soon. We'll figure it out. Have you on, Dave? And Matt Downey, holding hand grenades. How's it going, everyone? Thanks for being here. 8 people watching. Hanging with Timothy Lee Olson, talking Melvin. Yeah, so part of the fun of this meeting is like it's the fact that Timothy's been around CG the whole time, and I'm only meeting him now. I'm kind of only really noticing Melvin now, and thinking it's awesome. I'm like, where? But somehow that's escaped my radar,
Yeah, it's funny because I went from I've never met you when I started, like, I don't know who you are, to I've seen your book before. Where have I seen it? To, hey, you're the Melvin guy, right?
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah, and forever then you shall be the Melvin guy.
That's funny.
But yeah, that's what you want, kind of. So fulfilling 3, and then are you going to start chipping away at 4?
Well, 4 is already at least pencil wise. It's already being worked on.
Cool. Do you write and then you work with artists? Is that
I write and I do the storyboards, and then I just hire the team. So far, I've been
cool?
working on 3 and 4, and he actually finished up 2. Sid Telis.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, the next time it crowdfunds, let me know too, and I can help you promote that. What is like the Melvin? I've got some of the pitch. We've been talking about it, but what's like the basic plot pitch kind of thing?
Of Melvin 1. Well, he's a mercenary hired to save a princess from a dangerous cult.
Cool.
Yeah, it's straight to the point. Plots. I think that's what's missing in comics is like just get straight to the freaking point.
Yeah, that's actually a ton of fun. Yeah, that does sound good.
More action, no sitting around talking.
Yeah, and it is. This was something thinking about in the past. I was like, is it these books tend to do better even, but books either that are central on one character rather than a team is like one thing, and or the name of the character is the name of the book. Both those things are like kind of a good thing usually, especially in crowdfunding. It's like kind of a little more focused, a little more easy to promote in some ways. It's easier for fan art too. It's for people to grasp onto and help. And your book checks both those boxes. But yeah, like Cyberfrog obviously checks both those boxes. And there's other ones that kind of don't or whatever. But The Buckler, Dillard's book checks both those boxes.
You gotta love The Buckler.
Yeah, that's another one. I've seen people saying like The Buckler's amazing, and I'm like, what? I've seen that one around, but I didn't back it. I'm like, I gotta back that next chance I get. I want to read it, getting some word of mouth. But yeah, that's cool. You're working with Dillard a little bit and working.
I've gotten a few Melvin covers done by Dillard.
Yeah, nice. Cool. Yeah, it just looks like a lot of fun. And so for the chat who's watching, it's available. It's not crowdfunding, but it's kind of fun. It's available basically like mainstream.
Walmart, Barnes and Noble, and Amazon. Yes.
Yeah. So it's out there and it's cheap, $10. So yeah, like, that is cool. That it's kind of forging a new path. Not too many people have done this. You're also getting like kind of interesting data points. Everyone thinks about it. Everyone wonders, like, usually it does seem like crowdfunding can kind of be paired. You know who's doing that a little bit? Shoot, what's his name? I'm just forgetting it just for a second. But it's like where you crowdfund it, and then you publish it basically. And you have to fulfill the crowdfunding first, but then you get a little bit like best of both worlds kind of, because you can do the special editions for the crowdfunds and you can get the slightly wider reach for the mainstream publishing. But of course, with the mainstream, you keep less of the money. But that's the whole idea with some of these early books. We're just trying to build the audience first, almost.
Well, that's what I hope, is that you build the audience first, and then possibly the money will come.
Yeah, then you bring them into the crowd funds. That's where you get the money.
So my game is pretty much just slug it out. Eventually, you'll catch on.
Yeah, I like that. What was I gonna say? Something about business plans. What we're all trying to do. But yeah, you make how you can get money through crowdfunding. Oh, email list. Have you been doing that? Have you been building an email list at all?
I did when I was crowdfunding. Should I do that for Melvin 4 maybe?
Maybe, because that's something I've only recently kind of been a little more into it. But I know a lot of the mainstream pros do that. Mark Miller does it. Rick Remender does it, I think. I think a bunch of different writers
That might be something to look into.
Yeah, because you can get that number pretty high. Specifically, what's funny about the mailing list is like it actually can sort of replace almost like crowdfunding, although it doesn't exactly replace it. But the example is Brian Pulido. It can sort of replace live streaming and promotion. You know, like a lot of our life can be that. It's like figuring out Twitter, YouTube, everything. And it's like Brian Pulido, although he's an asterisk in some ways because he has the established audience, but he sends out, he has the huge email list. He'll launch the campaign, send it out to the email list, and then that's it. That's kind of all he needs to do. What's almost like that is like Eric July, a huge part of it is like the email list, because not everyone watches his streams or anything.
He's a very successful person, though.
Yeah, I know that they're a little different than us, but I know that building the email list is like another thing that you can start working on, and eventually it's up to like, you know, 100, 300, 500.
I get so bored with hearing people like complain or hate on him. It's like, dude, I don't care as long as he's making somebody happy. That's okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about it today. It's almost like a derangement syndrome a little bit. It's like you got to wait for that to pass. It reminds me of like, I don't know what, it's almost like Trump or whatever, but it's like people are like very worked up.
It's like, who cares? Let the man make his book and quit complaining. Yeah, I get it. Probably Isom's probably not a masterpiece, but some people like it. And maybe Alpha 4 is not like, quite as good as Justice League, but you know what? Some people liked it.
Yeah. And the cool thing, real quick, we can talk about this a little bit, is like what Eric July, he's putting almost all the money back into the company / all the money, I think, basically, which that I don't think that has quite been done yet. Nobody's done that except for Eric July, has put everything back into the company. And that's why you're getting multiple releases of year books. It's like in 5 years, it's going to be like 30 books. Like there will be some like, and he's hiring more and more people. There will be like some masterpieces in there probably or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of exciting.
I hate the game.
Yeah. The whole, just the commitment to the business plan is kind of sweet. And it is rubbing off a little bit because that's one thing I noticed even when I had Earthbound 2 did pretty well, and I just reinvested like pretty much all of that back into the main thing I got was I hired Cerberus, Monica, to draw Cerberus. So I got like one extra book where I'm not the artist, I'm just the writer. And
cool.
And then you can sell that, and you see if that makes money, you just keep the ball rolling. And
if you share screen, go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah. I was just gonna say you hope it keeps growing is the idea. But
yeah, that's true. If you share screen, there's a little bit of the replacement art for Melvin 2 Special Edition.
Cool. Yeah, this looks sweet. And who drew this?
This is Rob Ewing.
Ewing, yeah, nice.
This is the leader of the cult. This is Bison, and he's talking to his field commander, which was Muldark. He's got little slaves and whatnot, but yeah, the artwork's amazing.
Yeah.
And then of course here's Alice taking on some cult members right here, and she saves
cool.
Mother and her
kid. You know what I like about that art too is it's kind of one of the first things I check is the girl has high appeal. Appeal is a principle of animation, but it's like you want the women to look kind of hot, and sometimes they don't. You know who one of my favorite artists couldn't for the life of him draw hot women, and I think he admitted it. But it was Tim Sale. Tim Sale.
Tim Sale did a pretty good run on Deathblow.
Yeah, I know that was great, and I should amend that slightly because he can draw the female figure and everything, but he had a funny way of drawing like lipstick and eyelashes, and it always looked weird. He draw noses a little weird, but yeah. She looks cool. She looks like a cool character. Genuine. Your character is Alice, right? Genuine. Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, Alice. And yep.
Alice. That's another one that's like about one character, and she is becoming iconic within the scene. And that's one where you do hope that it just continues to grow. Sometimes I feel like it can almost be frustrating that it's not happening like faster, but because Perfect 10 does get a lot of good word of mouth. I put everything back in the company too, but that's because there's nothing left to spend elsewhere. Yeah.
One day, James. One day.
Yeah. For some reason, writing action scenes seems like a waste of time, as if they're filler between the real scenes. I know it's silly to think that since action is often the attraction. Yeah. I guess you just try and combine both. Sometimes if you have that's like the manga way. They just have their action scene. They break and talk trash. in between every punch, and then but somehow that
As
works.
long as they're not standing around talking, eating food, talking about something, and trying to make stupid jokes.
Oh yeah. Then even yeah, it's that, and all those things combined in that very specific combination is so funny. It's so funny that it's kind of pervasive too. Like it was literally some of these tropes. That was why one thing I appreciate about you boy Zach's channel was like documenting the tropes as they happen, and you're like, oh my god, it's true, and you'll see it. Like one he was saying is the Gordon Good brother. I'm just thinking of the ones that come off the top of my head, but that was where it's like black men had to be like super kind of feminine and nice. Nobody could be badass. You could never have a badass black guy, and he'll say that, and then you're like, oh yeah, like Blade, where's Blade? What happened to Blade? And even that even trickled a little bit down into the live stream where it's like Ali is his last name, and he's a good actor, but he's got a real pencil neck, and supposedly he's the new Blade. And that was one. I'm off on a little tangent here, but I think that got called back for rewrites because it was right in the thick of the SJW stuff. I might be spreading untold.
Oh, you can see it. You can see the SJWs losing kind of their foothold on stuff when people have to call back and rewrite it, or like the Snow White movie is not going to be released till 2025.
Oh yeah, and the X-Men showrunner got fired. It does feel like that, and even the Gamergate 2 people are talking about ESG. The take I heard on it, because everyone's arguing about it, including your boy Zach, and he has good takes on it too. They're slightly contrarian, but Grums had a good take on it where he was saying ESG, it's like getting like disaster relief money after a flood. It's like that kind of like you apply for it and you can get it, and it's easy to get, so everyone does it. But then that money is drying up, and they aren't even making the profits. So now, it's like, well, it was like part of it was like the capitalism of it actually seems to be shutting it down, which is good, because the first thing I thought when I heard about it, I'm like, it sounds like communism, but of course that means it like doesn't work, and people are losing money, so it is stopping. But multiple people have said too, one more thing real quick is they say that that's the ESG, but at the end of the day, because even when the ESG goes away and they're losing money, these companies are closing rather than change their ways and course correcting. They're just running out of business and firing everyone. And that's kind of a tell that it's not the ESG necessarily. It's more the people. It's like the people running the ship. They literally are committed to the woke agenda, which is crazy, but they are going to run themselves into the ground. And it feels optimistic in some ways. We're in a little bit of optimistic time.
Yeah.
And the thing about it being optimistic, I could hear your reaction, but it's like, I say that because times are so dark. It's like the only way you can go is up. So then therefore that equals optimism.
Well, I mean, what's another thing? I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was. It was in my head.
I kept ranting and cut, and
that's okay. That's all good. It's all good. We were talking about how they were going to run themselves into the ground.
Real quick, while you think about that, Brian Kreisgard's here. Thanks for being here, Brian. Brian, if you have a live campaign, let me know too. I'd love to chat with you again. It's been a while. Brian also been here since the beginning. Great writer, great book. But he goes, the fact comic book characters can have conversations while beating the snot out of each other is one of the mysteries of the medium. I like that comment a lot. I think it shows that you are like an expert at what you do. That is a very astute observation. It's funny. That's actually a funny thing, because that's something that animation can't do and movies can't do because of the way time works. But for comics can. You can literally just put a word bubble. And because I have thought that, and we've made fun of it, of SJW comics that way though, because sometimes they'll have like long screeds in the middle of a punch frame, and you're like, that makes no sense. But I don't know. Do you know what you're going to say, Timothy? Did you remember? And then I kept talking, and then you forgot again.
I think it might be lost to time right now. But
sometimes you got to just let these things go. I have the same problem.
It'll be like hours later, but oh, I remember.
Yeah. You know what they call that? They call that the spirit of the stairway, where when you're leaving the flat that had the party and you're going down the stairs to the street, that's when the spirit overtakes you and you go, that's what I should have said. And then it's everyone has that fantasy of like going back and being like, remember when you were saying this and then I said this? Well, what I should have said was this, and then drop your cigarette on the ground, stamp it out, and then walk away or whatever. But nobody ever does that, of course.
He's gonna launch a Six Gun Girl on Fun My Comic March/April.
Okay,
Now,
that's
a name right there. Six Gun Gorilla.
Yeah, and that's another one where, the name is the character and it's one
That's
character.
A great name.
Yeah. I like those books. Those are ones that that become kind of iconic and stuff. There's a little more. We're getting a little more eyes from the quote unquote mainstream on us in like a good way of like, this is sort of the industry healing. This is like a small, it's like, so maybe it's even too early, so I don't want to jinx it. But speaking of like cancel culture sort of being on the downturn, knock on wood again, that would just be the worst if that came back in full swing. But I know a few lefties in real life, and it even seems like they don't argue with that fact. Seems like they know cancel culture was bad and now it's almost over or whatever. But
that's because it swung right back and started taking out some of the guys on their quote unquote side.
That's true. They're probably like, the right wing is so bad for doing that. I'm like, what? It was the left side, but but it does get everyone. So, but shit, what was I gonna say? Is we were talking about the healing of the industry is like thinking of it as like a big umbrella that is the mainstream, including Marvel and DC, all the way down to the indies. And if Marvel and DC are doing good, then the indies will do good too. That's always been kind of a known thing. So we are kind of rooting for them to get their shit together. And that might happen it actually might take a couple years or whatever, but that's going to happen sooner or later. But the other thing that's happening is, I think for a long time, there was like almost like an iron curtain, and the mainstream was scared to look past the curtain. They would scared cancel culture or whatever. And that isn't true anymore. So like the possibility of like kind of networking a little bit or becoming friends with someone kind of from the quote unquote other side, like even like Jimmy Palmiotti on Twitter, like he's very friendly. He followed me like a couple weeks ago. We had a quick DM exchange, talking each other up or like whatever, giving each other encouragement or something. And that's kind of like definitely makes me optimistic. You know what I mean?
I get you.
Yeah. And the other thing too is that puts us in a position where it will be a little bit more like I guess they'd call it like the upwards mobility. Hopefully, but like Melvin or Perfect 10 or like if I have a book that's kind of like would fit for some of this, but the one I kind of have semi-mainstream dreams is like maybe for Cerberus. It's like, like they will literally like read it, they're almost like they're scouting or whatever. They'll like read it and like it and like hire you to write something or something like that could be happening in, again, like probably not right away, but that could be happening soonish.
Right.
I know people are like burned though. So, and it's like a little bit of this fantasy of like, what would you do? What would you do if Marvel came a knocking, and like, what character would it be? Because some people have their iconic character that they know they could write. Like Hojo, it's the Hulk, and Mike Murphy.
Would I write?
Yeah, Mike Murphy, it's Superman. And for you, do you have something like that?
I would definitely like to do a Punisher, the real Punisher.
That'd be awesome. I can see there's a little Melvin DNA in the Punisher, or Punisher DNA in the Melvin.
Yo, Tree, what's up, man? Oh, by the way, Team Tree all the way.
Nice. What's up, Tree Goblin? But then
Tree Goblin.
Yeah. Poppy, the mic drop moments. Yeah. But with that fantasy comes a lot of people can't resist, especially in fantasy version, to be like, hey, you know what, Marvel? Eat a dick and walk away or something like that. Like, I'm not going to write and save your company. But I think a lot of us probably would actually. But it's funny. It's like if things are going good in crowdfunding, we kind of accidentally, got something kind of nice going where we keep way more of the money, but we do a little bit more of the work. And the reason a lot of pros don't want to do that is because it's quite intimidating. But once you do it, it's not so bad. And it's like we're in a unique position where we are not terrified of talking to printers, getting a stamps.com account, mailing out a bunch of boxes, whatever. And once you can do that, you keep all the money or whatever. So that's kind of one nice thing.
Brian thinks we should do an indie comic book Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
I was asking who's going to be ODB.
I'm not familiar enough with Wu-Tang. So were they're like, what do you call it? Like a group where they all do their own individual things, but then they also come together.
They were a rap group, and eventually they all split up into doing their solo projects.
Yeah, what would even be indie comic, like a band? Yeah, like because it's like you couldn't even necessarily do like one crossover book or one where we all write and all draw. There's stuff you could do, like some of that's fun, but some of it's like it's not. It's more because it's fun rather than it's going to sell a ton. But one they do for animation is they do like a reanimation project where you get people to sign up or whatever. So, and they'll do projects where it's like thousands of people sign up. They say, we're going to like reanimate Aladdin. And they're like, okay, so you get this section. So you get a 5-second section of Aladdin that you have to reanimate. And then they put them all together and you watch it and it's like having a stroke while watching Aladdin kind of, but it totally fits like the whole, the whole story is like put together that way. I'm like, you could do a comic that way. It'd make me laugh. We could do it in one day. Like if like CG ever wanted to be like, all right, let's do one comic one day. Like Dillard 1 page, me 1 page, Timothy 1 page, or you'd be working
Image
with your
Comics
artist.
did that with Deathmate Red. They had all the extreme studio artists working on a page or two.
Yeah. No, that is cool. So it can be done. Oh, we're rolling here. By the way, everyone, Melvin, 9 people watching, but yeah, it's
Melvin #1 special edition.
Yeah, and it's in mainstream stores, which is a lot of fun. So that's cool.
Walmart,
and the book,
Amazon, and Barnes and Noble, suckers.
Yeah, and the book looks pretty great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I probably will spring for it, and even if whether I do or don't, I want to have you on when you launch the next crowdfund too. We'll keep it going because Melvin looks sweet. Yeah, it's funny I didn't know about it sooner.
It's like fine wine; it gets better every issue.
Yeah, that's awesome. Crap. No, I was just getting rolling with something. If I think of it, this whole stream is us forgetting what we're gonna say, and then waiting for a while. But I'm checking in with Brian Kreisky. We all do our own thing under our own imprint, but under one banner, like Image or Heavy Metal.
That could be kind of messy, though. If you remember the story of how Image kind of crumbled, and I like to call Image the MySpace of comics. People are like, Image is still around? Yeah, it's still around.
yeah. That is funny. Yeah, even like Mark Millar announcing he's going to Dark Horse instead of Image. And then you hear about the Image deals. You're like, wait, you pay them? And they're like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, wasn't Invincible their latest hit though? Now it's like an animated cartoon.
Yeah, but then even that guy, am I getting this wrong? Shoot, no, maybe it's not him, but it's the guy who wrote. I think it is. It's the guy who wrote the zombie one. I think he also.
Walking Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's top of his game, and he's running his own imprint now, which I don't know if it's under Image or not, but it's actually doing really good. It's like a new story that he's doing from scratch, and Transformers and G.I. Joe all combined into one universe, and it actually looks really cool. It's selling a lot, which is good. Yeah. Crap. Well, I was gonna say one thing that was kind of making me laugh about whatever. Well, so we're gonna sit here and try and think of what we were gonna say for like 15 minutes, and then we'll end the stream. But but I want just everyone to know about Melvin. Oh, let me put it up. Here we go. I've been looking at it, and people can't see it.
Oh yeah, that's a badass Dillard cover right there.
Yeah, that Dillard cover is looking great, and yeah. But I don't know. We're talking a little bit about like indies to mainstream to indies. the lines getting blurred and or
Yeah, don't
the
be afraid to think outside the box.
yeah the war, as it were, feels like it's won a little bit on like our side won, but who knows? You don't want to declare victory too soon, and even framing it as a war is not always the best. But yeah, Tree Goblin.
Yeah, team Tree Goblin all the way. The heck with Liam. He's a weirdo.
Oh yeah. I forgot it was if it's a Liam meme. That's funny. Anime. So yeah, we were talking a little bit about collabs and that you can do animation collabs where everyone does one page. You could do a comic version of that. And then I was maybe going to say one other funny thing of stuff you can do with collabs. I don't know. One of the random things you got to do to
The
sell a lot of comics.
These are endless.
Yeah, is one of us has to date Taylor Swift, and then that will bring in 1 million new readers.
I'll see what I can do. I can't guarantee anything, but I'll give it my best shot.
Okay, we're sending you in as our first agent. If you fail, then someone will get jealous and they'll tell her that we sent you as an agent. She's like, "Oh, it wasn't a true love story." And then they'll try to sweep in. That's what Brian's
She was using me for my body.
Yeah. We'll all fall for her. But she's the one who can save comics, truly. It's all the Swifties.
The Swifties.
We need them buying comics. That was what Yan said. I had an interview with him the other day, and he's like, there's just not enough people to buy comics. So how do you do that? You got to find people that in another lifetime they would buy comics, but they just don't. And you got to be the one to kind of like introduce them almost. And he says, it's like Brandon Sanderson was like a good example. Like there's like 40,000 people that love fantasy that buy his books every time. They probably would read a graphic novel. It may be, especially if it hit right in that sweet spot of like, you like Lord of the Rings, you like Brandon Sanderson, here's a graphic novel that's totally like that, and see if they would want to buy it. As I say that, I was like, oh, Fiendish maybe almost ticks that box of being right on the money. And then then it's enough of a cold, because it's a cold call, but they are like choiced out to be like possible good people to buy it or whatever. Yeah. And what else? There's Taylor Swift, Brandon Sanderson. One of us has to date Brandon Sanderson, so not it. I'll take.
I gotta date Taylor Swift and this other person. Damn.
Yeah. There's an Archer thing about that's kind of funny, but I kind of forget now. Randomly, but Archer was like right before SJW takeover, kind of. And maybe it went along into it. I don't know, but some of the TV that was right before SJW takeover, it was very choice. Like, and it's people. Some of it's like Tina Fey. Like, what's the show called that's about the building or whatever? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Building. Tina Fey. 30 Rock?
Yeah, 30 Rock. 30 Rock was hilarious and very like kind of based, basically. But then they were like ashamed of that as the SJW stuff happened. It's like annoying.
Community was a pretty good show.
Yep. And then they're all kind of in that 2008 to 2014 is when everything ended.
Before things got weird.
Yeah. The other one, and it's still going, but it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But I haven't been keeping up with it. But that was.
I love that show. None of those characters are likable, and that's the whole point.
Yeah. It's funny that it works, and it's just getting more ridiculous, and it's still awesome. I did hear some interviews from them, and they said because they have a podcast. So as I've been drawing, I've been listening to it a little bit, and they said that Charlie was easily the best character early on, and he kind of made the show. Because he was the character who had the freedom to be the most ridiculous, and they got kind of jealous, and they're like, I want my character to be ridiculous too. So the whole process was them slowly allowing everyone to be just as ridiculous as Charlie. And then I think at some point Charlie almost became like the straight man, and he was really bummed about that. He's like, "What? Now I'm the guy who has to like tell everyone, be the voice of reason or whatever."
Oh yeah, Charlie
Yeah,
work.
yeah. I was thinking about that today, Charlie. Puppy Rico. I have a comic, Dark Souls, similar, where an old lady was telling a knight about a bunch of stories. The stories themselves are made with different artists. I could see a lenient story could work. That sounds awesome. Are you talking for seducing the Brandon Sanderson crowd, or are you just saying in general? But that would work as a fun kind of way where it could kind of be an anthology, but not really. Also, the way you described Dark Souls and what you said do match, which is good. Because yeah, Dark Souls is awesome, but it's funny. It's a very
So
specific.
is it that word that we shouldn't say in anthology?
Yeah. Anthologies. I learned that the hard way a little bit, but I don't know if I said anthology. And that I released one that was the shorts compendium, and I wrote all the short stories, but there were some different artists, and they're all good. But yeah, it's like people do not like anthologies. But the worst example is if people go like kind of like the animation together thing, but then trying to sell it. They're like, well, if we all do 3 pages, let's do it. Well, let's pick a theme. Let's do it on women who are oppressed by men manspreading. And so let's all do 3 pages on that. And then there's 20 of us, so that'll be a 60-page book. That'll be a real comic. So then we can sell it. So then we all tell our friends, do a Kickstarter, and all tell our friends, and they'll raise like 30 grand or something. But then like it gets split 20 ways after expenses, so they all made like $500 maybe, and it doesn't work out that way.
Right.
Yeah. 10 people watching, everyone. We're looking at Melvin who's hanging out.
10 people.
Yeah. It's good chatting with you, Timothy. You're kind of funny. You got a wit about you that makes me laugh.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, but what we'll do is probably wrap up here pretty soon, and then just keep me posted. And definitely when the next crowdfund comes, let me know. We can stream and promote and stuff.
Oh yeah, it'd be a blast.
Yeah. The other thing I like when, if it's like Melvin is like I don't know if this is another term that's funny, but if you say Melvin is your baby, would you say that?
Yes, it's my creation. It's my child.
Yeah, and it's like that's kind of fun about the indie scene, is like the relationship. A lot of the ideas, sometimes people say they had the idea in childhood or whatever.
I did middle school.
Yeah. That's awesome. See, I think that's like one of the coolest things actually about crowdfunding is
back in middle school, it was originally Melvin the Teacher Slayer.
He slays whoever you hate at that moment in your life.
Yes. And then I think the look was originally I was sent to what do you call that, when you're kind of in school suspension.
Yeah.
And there's this picture on the wall said, "How do you feel today?" And it's like this knockoff Calvin, Calvin and Hobbes. And different facial expressions, and I used to draw just every single one of them. And like I said, I was collecting Mad Magazine cards at the time, and I just kind of came up with Melvin, the Teacher Slayer, and then it just didn't go anywhere. And then,
but it's awesome. Why does it work so well? Calling Melvin like a sci-fi barbarian type of Punisher guy he is, calling him Melvin. It doesn't even like, maybe there's like some humor there, but it more just feels badass kind of.
It does, and like people told me it throws them off. The character's called Melvin, yet he looks like a badass. I love it.
Yeah, it is a good combo, and that's a funny evolution because he did start a little bit like a goofier character than his name's Melvin and he kills teachers, and then it's like no, he's a badass. And
back in the 90s, you could get away with stuff like that, and no one would think you're psycho.
Yeah, this does feel like it's carrying the torch of the 90s a little bit, kind of thing.
Yeah, a big influence was early 90s Image Comics. I guess I was a Marvel guy before that because Wolverine, X
Yeah.
Force. But as soon as I found Image Comics, I had like the first four ones I had was Supreme #2, Wildcats #4, um, Spawn 2 and 3, something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was game over. I was like, I'm an Image guy now. And
Yeah.
yeah, they were doing kind of the same stuff Marvel was doing, but it was a grittier, more badass version of what Marvel was doing.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
cool.
Youngblood 10 literally had Chapel. It was a 2-page spread. I remember he was blowing his brains out. His brains are flying out of the back of his head because he wanted to be like Spawn. He wanted to go to hell and have power like him. So
Oh shit.
he killed himself right in front of Spawn.
That's cool. That if I could see if you were a kid, that would like blow your mind.
Like, whoa.
And it did. It sticks with you all these years later. Yeah, that's awesome.
Or like the Violator issue. I had the Violator miniseries issue 1 where he had like he had punched through the head of a mobster, and that head was stuck around his wrist the whole time, and the eyes would look around.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Bart Sayers.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Shoot. There was one other thing I was going to say, and I forgot that too. You know what I did? I drank a 5-hour energy tall boy yesterday.
Oh shit.
And then I literally didn't sleep. And so I took a nice nap before this. So I was rested and got up, but I did mess my day up. So that's why I've been like a little bit like, oh, what was I thinking? Son of the but yeah, cool. It's funny, as we go longer, a few more people filter in, which is always nice, but we got to end it here. I have one other stream to prepare for the evening, so I got to grab a snack and do that. But 13 people watching. Thanks everyone for being here. Melvin, just if you're like me and you kind of hadn't really seen it, so now it's on your radar, that alone is good enough. But it's out there. It's available in the mainstream, which is a lot of fun. You can buy it in Barnes and Noble, Walmart, or Amazon.
Yeah.
Melvin 4 will be.
Motherfuckers.
Each issue is better than the next, and it's been going for a while now. So yeah, with issue 4, that's getting deep into the story, which is
I'm going to be around for a long time.
Nice, cool. With your baby.
Yes.
Melvin, baby Melvin.
Yeah.
Cool. Jolly Green, just got here. What's up, man? We're about to leave, Jolly Green.
Jolly Green.
I'll be back in an hour. But yeah. All right, I'm going to click the end stream and then see everyone in an hour, hopefully. And Timothy, thanks for joining me. Hang up for just a second. We'll say hi behind the scenes too. But I'm going to end it.